All right, guys, so today we're going to cover rowing. Rowing is a sport in and of itself. You could spend a lifetime trying to master rowing technique, but for the purposes of fitness, there are a few key points that we can cover that can make you a lot more efficient. You can move more safely on the rower so you protect your lower back, and you can generate more power. And really what it comes down to in CrossFit is power generation that's going to lead to better fitness. So Chris is going to demonstrate some of the good, some of the bad, some of the ugly on the rower, and we're going to go over a few of these key points. So the first thing you want to do when you strap into the rower, the common question is, where should these foot stretchers be set? Basically what you want is the strap going over the ball of the foot, and what that's going to do is allow good range of motion and full compression, and it's going to also allow for your the direction that you push off the foot stretcher, the normal, should I say, for all you math and 3D people out there, to be in this direction. We don't want to be pushing up, because if we push up, our butt's going to float off that seat, and the seat's going to come out from underneath us, and that's going to kill our time. We hate that. So, we're going to go ahead and grab the handle now. So first thing, full compression. Notice how his elbows are fully extended. His shins are vertical, and that's a good position to be in. We want to be in this position. Having the knees pass beyond vertical is really inefficient. You don't really gain much out of it. So at this position, we're good, we're ready to go. And he's going to start by extending the knees and the hips. And notice how his elbows don't bend until he's almost at full hip and knee extension. So the elbows are kind of a follow through, right? Now at the very back, you'll notice right here he's got nice loose wrists. He doesn't want to have his wrist curled in like this or up like that. It's nice neutral wrist, right? So now we'll go ahead and recompress. Now I want Chris is going to now demonstrate what we call shooting the seat. So notice how the butt moves before the handle moves. A couple more times. Notice how that butt's shooting out there. It's making his torso tilt over forward. That puts his back into a very compromising position. Puts a lot of stress on his lumbar. We don't really want that. It can start to hurt you over a long period of time if you row a lot of kilometers. So want to make sure if your butt moves a half inch, the handle moves a half inch. If your butt moves a foot, the handle moves a foot. So imagine that your hip right here is tied to the handle with a static line on that first part of the pole. So watch his hips and the handle move together. That's perfect. Okay, so now another really common flaw in people's rowing technique that's an inefficiency that will exhaust you is when you get to full extension, the first thing you want to do is move those hands back and then start bending the knees. Okay? Now, let's have your hands go up over the knees. See how his hands have to go up and over the knees? That's really inefficient. And for a few poles, you don't feel it. It's not that big of a deal. But if you go out 2 kilometers or 5 kilometers or, God forbid, 10 kilometers, that becomes a very exhausting thing to do. You're putting a lot of effort into lifting that handle up over your knees. So you want to make sure that that handle moves back in a straight line toward the rower and then knee compression. Now, you'll see really experienced rowers will start to extend the hands, and right about the time the handle gets to right about here, the knees will start to bend, but you won't have to lift the handle over, and that's fine. You just don't want to have that lipping up over the knees with the handle. That's really inefficient. Okay, the last point I want to make is full pulls. You want to make sure you finish the pull each time. So notice how he's finishing the pull, recompress. Finish the pull, recompress. You want all the power you can possibly go into that flywheel into it. Now, let's demonstrate the common CrossFit style of rowing, which drives most of us crazy, is not finishing the pull, starts recompressing, because he's in a hurry to get that next pull, right? He figures if he pulls at a higher stroke rate, he's going to go faster. Absolutely not the case. So you want to get that finished pull, maybe even pause for a half second, then recompress. Right? So that brings up stroke rate. How many strokes per minute should you be pulling? I would argue that if you're at a sprinting pace, maybe 500 meters or less, you probably want to be in the mid to high 30s, maybe even 40 strokes per minute. But anything over 500 meters where it's not an all-out sprint, efficient rowing is probably going to be anywhere between 25 strokes per minute and 30 on the high end. So on the rower screen, you'll see that S/M, that's your strokes per minute. 25 to 30, probably about where you want to be. And that is the rowing.